What comes to mind when we think of Japan? Pretty kimono-clad girls serving tea? Serious young men preparing for the priesthood? Picturesque cities and villages? Pagodas pointing their fingers to heaven? Ancient images of benign gods and goddesses brooding over the land, inspiring the people to strive for greater serenity? Exquisite gardens outdoing nature in their naturalness? And of course, the Honorable Fuji, sacred mountain and symbol of purity and perfection. Japan is an island nation consisting of 4 large islands together with hundreds of small ones. Honshu is the main island, and Tokyo is now regarded as the largest city in the world. A huge, sprawling metropolis in which modern structures of steel and concrete rub elbows with little buildings of wood and paper. To this great city come 2 American tourists bent on discovering the charms of Japan from one end of the 1,500-mile island chain to the other. Now, why is she taking a picture of that? She can't read it. For every American tourist, there are 1,000 Japanese. The Japanese are always traveling. Any excuse will do. To visit an aunt, a customer, a temple, to make a pilgrimage, to see and appreciate the many scenes of beauty in their beautiful island. Shall we join this American couple as they follow the Japanese tourists and visit some of their shrines and temples?
皆さん、これが有名な金閣寺でございます。その自然と調和した美しさをご覧ください。この屋根のなだらかさをご覧ください。さて、この金閣寺は約1000年前に足利将軍の一人によって建てられたものであります。しかしながら数年前、若い僧侶によって
To this marriage shrine, young couples come to present their babies to the god in much the same way that we bring them for christening. It is our good fortune to see one of the temple dancers perform her stately and graceful dance. Every school organizes excursions so that practically all children become familiar with the famous places of their country. women, children, old people, big men, little men, the rich, the poor. Everybody is always traveling everywhere by bus or train. And now we follow our friends to some of the shopping streets, which always hold a fascination for the foreigner. As soon as the light begins to fade, one by one the lamps are lit. Lamps in an infinite variety of shapes and colors. Then bright neon lights advertise almost everything, and eventually lead our tourists to one of the many theaters, this one presenting an all-girl review featuring cherry blossom time. But to see and learn to know the real Japan, one must leave the cities and go out into the country and villages. Along the seashore, we see women gathering seaweed to make the delicious sushi which we have enjoyed at tea parties. Into each life some rain must fall, but it does not dampen our enthusiasm for the sights and sounds of Japan. Suddenly, in a small town, we come upon a procession celebrating some festival. children are the same the world over. Hopscotch, pachinko, all sorts of games. Baseball is a passion with the Japanese. To arrive at any shrine in Japan, it is necessary to climb steps, steps, and more steps. Our tourist friend here has just about had it. So when feet give out, palanquins to the rescue. We feel a bit guilty about allowing these poor men to carry us uphill and down. But after all, it is their means of livelihood. And when we leave them, they bow and thank us for riding with them. Driving along by the roadside, we come upon another ceremony, perhaps some purification rite. The imperial shrine at Ise is situated in a grove of immense cryptomeria trees. This shrine is one which every Japanese hopes to visit before his death, and it is easy to see why the crystal clear waters of this stream might be considered sacred. And everyone enjoys the parks, where tame deer bow respectfully in the hope of receiving a handout. Much of the pleasure of visiting Japan lies in staying in ryokans, or Japanese inns, and entering into the life of the people. Flower arranging is an art which has been highly developed here, and the tea ceremony, a ritual brought over from China, is very exacting. Every movement has a meaning all its own, and there must be no variation. After this, we shall enjoy a sukiyaki dinner, starting off with a delicious, delicate rice wine known as sake. Have you ever tried to eat plain rice with chopsticks? Oh well, it's not supposed to be eaten that way. During dinner, geisha girls entertain with songs and stories, as well as seeing to it that the sake cups are kept filled. And after the meal, they dance to the accompaniment of a samisen, a three-stringed instrument. A trip on the inland sea is pleasant and scenic, but the boat is crowded, largely with high school girls, and when noon comes, the girls seat themselves on the deck, out come lunch boxes, and they fall too. For centuries, the pearl has been one of the most prized of jewels, the most flattering to wear. But it remained for a Japanese, Kokichi Mikimoto, to figure out how to persuade the oyster to do that which is natural. Skilled women divers, clad in long white costumes, which they claim will keep sharks away, bring up the pearl oysters. Then a small bead is inserted into the mantle of the oyster, and it is placed in a wire cage with hundreds of others similarly treated, and the cage is suspended from a wooden raft anchored in the sea. There they remain for several years, though they are taken up periodically and inspected. From 3 to 10 years are required for the development of a good pearl. The only difference between the natural and the cultured pearl is that the former is produced accidentally, the latter intentionally. 800 miles to the north of Tokyo lies Hokkaido, northernmost of Japan's 4 principal islands. Railroad stations are busy places at any time, and Japanese trains are never late, so it behooves us to be there promptly. All of Japan is a seething cauldron underneath, but here in the far north, the mountains seem a bit more rugged, the volcanoes and hot springs a bit more violent. On this island dwell the Ainu, a race different from the Japanese, who some believe were the original inhabitants who were driven into the north with the coming of the Japanese from the mainland. They are Caucasians whose culture, though primitive, shows them to be a well-integrated people. This chief of an Ainu village greets us with courtesy and friendliness, and has his wife and daughters dance for us. The dance is simple, accompanied only by the clapping of hands and a monotonous chant. Note the geometric designs on the kimonos of the women, quite different from the Japanese forms. Before we leave, the chief wishes to show us their cemetery, where we are surprised to find the gravestones of the chief and his wife designated by the classic male and female symbols. May 5th is known as Children's Day, and every family where there are sons will be proudly displaying enormous fish of cloth or paper flying over the housetops. This is just another excuse for making merry, a picnic in the park, or an excursion to some beauty spot. Japanese love their children and do everything in their power to show them a good time. But strangely enough, these children seem never to be spoiled. how on earth are these tourists going to get home with all the lovely things they have purchased and the beautiful gifts from the courteous and friendly people of Japan? This calls for a couple of extra bags. But eventually, the last kimono and doll, the last ashtray and teacup have found a place. Sayonara, farewell, and arigato. Thank you, Japan, for your wonderful hospitality.